Did you know that the violet flame is an intensified manifestation of the seventh ray? I'll explain more in a moment. As some of you may know, there are 7 spiritual light rays. Each ray expresses different characteristics and attributes of the divine consciousness and radiates these sacred qualities into the universe. Let's take a quick look at the 7 rays and their divine qualities. First ray, blue, divine power, will, and protection. Second ray, yellow, divine intelligence, wisdom, and enlightenment. Third ray, pink, divine love, compassion, and creativity. Fourth ray, white, divine purity, order, discipline, and harmony. Fifth ray, green, divine vision, healing, science, precipitation, abundance, and wholeness. Sixth ray, purple, divine service, brotherhood, and justice. Seventh ray, violet, divine mercy, forgiveness, freedom, and transmutation. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the 7th ray or violet ray, which is where the violet flame comes from. The violet flame is the 7th ray aspect of the divine spirit that permeates all of creation. It's the sacred fire that can transmute the cause-effect record and memory of negative. For each of the 7 rays, there are spiritual beings who specialize in working with the light of that ray. In the realm of the Ascended Masters, the ruler or hierarch of the 7th ray is our beloved Saint Germain. Another well-known ascended being who works with the violet flame is Kuan Yin, the savioress of the East and goddess of mercy. The archangels of the 7th ray are Zadkiel and Holy Amethyst. The Elohim of the 7th ray are the great divine beings Arcturus and Victoria. We can call to these violet flame specialists to learn how to become experts in working with this amazing light frequency. Let's take a closer look at the qualities of the 7th ray. Mercy. The violet flame is also called the mercy flame. Mercy means that though there may be a legitimate reason for someone to experience returning karma for a not-so-good act, that returning karma is suspended or even cancelled out. This may happen because the person has accumulated some good karma that balances out the negative karma. This act of mercy gives the person an opportunity to do the right thing instead of the wrong thing, and thereby pay off a karmic debt. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is closely related to mercy, but it goes one step further. Forgiveness requires from us a conscious act of loving the soul of someone who has wronged us. This means letting go of the hurt they caused us and no longer holding it against them. If we are able to forgive, we liberate the person who wronged us from the energetic burden of our anger or resentment. And in the process, we liberate ourselves from that energy that could otherwise consume our thoughts and feelings and wreak havoc in our lives. Forgiving someone doesn't mean that the karma of the offensive act has just disappeared. This karma still needs to be balanced. However, by forgiving the person, we've made it possible for them to work on balancing that karma without the added burden of our resentment that would continually recreate the record of the wrongful act. Transmutation and alchemy. Transmutation is a fancy word for changing something from one state of manifestation into another. A simple example is boiling a pot of water and seeing it evaporate into steam. In a spiritual sense, transmutation usually relates to changing someone's or something's energy or vibration into a higher expression. For instance, we can transmute a feeling of anger about something into a feeling of compassion or love for the person or situation. The ancient science of alchemy is founded on the principle of transmutation. Material alchemists focused on changing base metals such as tin or lead into pure gold. Spiritual alchemists understood that this process is symbolic of changing the base elements of our human consciousness into the gold of the higher spiritualized consciousness. Liberation and freedom. If we compare these different actions of the violet flame, we see something special emerging. A new state of being and a new freedom to become something better than what we were. Whether it is through extending mercy and forgiveness or through practicing alchemy and transmutation, we let go of an old pattern or matrix and make room for the new. This liberating energy opens the door for new creative powers. And creating higher, better patterns and manifestations is the hallmark of the violet flame and the Aquarian age. So now that you have a deeper understanding of the divine qualities of the 7th light ray, you may ask, how do you go from the 7th ray to the violet flame? Here's a good explanation. Spiritual rays can be found everywhere in space, like cosmic rays that radiate out from spiritual sources and permeate all space around them. It's comparable to how radio waves spread out from a transmitter and can be picked up wherever you turn on the radio. The 7 light rays nourish all life that they touch and infuse it with divine qualities. Think of this as a kind of perpetual spiritual background radiation. However, it's possible to intensify a ray to the point where it bursts into a spiritual flame at a specific point in time and space. Just like we can use a magnifying glass to concentrate sunlight in one point and start a physical fire. We do this by calling to spiritual beings such as archangels and ascended masters to send us an amplified portion of a spiritual ray. That's what happens when we give a decree, such as a violet flame decree. In answer to our call, they release a more than ordinary portion of that light energy that we can then use for greater self-mastery and for blessing all life around us. Through the focus of our attention and our visualizations, our own magnifying glass, if you will, that amplified ray of spiritual light becomes a spiritual flame that we can then use for whatever situations need a spiritual boost. This is how we turn the violet ray into the miracle violet flame. I hope you liked this video. If you want to learn more about the violet flame, check out my video, Violet Flame Beginner's Guide, How to Use the Violet Flame, which is linked below this video. Thanks for watching and have a great Violet Flame day!